All right, welcome to Suns Today. Adam Eaton here. I'm back in the Suns of UCF studio, and I'm with Andrew Cherico on the court at Addition Financial Arena, where UCF has just upset number 13, Texas A&M 64-61 in a game that was a little bit up and down, a little bit rough at times, Andrew, but the Knights pull out the victory. What did you make of the performance tonight from UCF?
I mean, what a gutsy win by Johnny Dawkins and this UCF men's basketball team. This is a team that didn't have Jalen Sellers or Mikey Williams come into the game. Lost Keyshawn Hall and Mustafa Cham in the second half. Was down by 10 points with 5 minutes left and still pulled out the victory, holding Texas A&M to, I believe, a one point in the last 5 minutes. It's just a gutsy win. It represents UCF basketball, defensive. The offense definitely needs to play better, but this defense is still as good as we thought it was.
Well, if we're looking at you now and the court looks empty, it was not empty about 30 minutes ago. It was full of fans and students. Everybody's celebrating. What was the atmosphere like post-game, Andrew, as everyone celebrated the victory?
We're a basketball school, Adam. It's simple. We're a basketball school. It was fantastic. You got the vibe that once it was, say, around a minute left in the game, all the fans started to stand up and it was getting really, really loud in here. You got the vibe that the court storming was going to happen. And it happened, and I saw all the players just escape as fast as possible. I was hoping for a redo of that Johnny Dawkins clip when he went crazy with Kansas last year, but it was great vibes. The players were happy in post game. Johnny Dawkins said he never had a season opener court storm, and it's great vibes. He says this win wasn't possible without the fans. Direct words from Johnny.
Well, to your point, it was an interesting game. UCF starts off, I think, they're missing their first 9 shots, and they just could not hit a bucket early on. They got in a groove later, and then second half started Texas A&M just kind of took control. They were more physical than UCF. You mentioned Cham got in foul trouble. Keyshawn Hall got in foul trouble. It was kind of a weird flow to the game, right? Like in terms of UCF had a run, then they go on these spurts where they couldn't get anything going offensively. What did you kind of make of the Knights kind of gelling together here on night one?
I mean, this team fell in love with the three-pointer.
Yes.
For the first half of the game. They shot 19 threes in the first half. I believe they only made them at a 25% rate.
They're 8 of 26 for the whole game. 8 of 26, 30% on the game.
Yeah, so that not great shooting stats. And to be fair, they were good shots. They were good looks. Majority of them were good looks. Just they weren't falling tonight. As usual in UCF basketball, the shots just don't fall. The offense always seems to be a problem, but like I mentioned before, the defense of this team really gelled it all together, really kept the team together, and it was just a good win. You saw the team attack the paint late in the second half. They got to the line a bunch, and they were able to attack on the openings that they had.
Let's talk about some of the individual players. Obviously, Darius Johnson, the fourth-year senior guard player for UCF, team high scoring, 24 points. Was 5 of 11 from a three-point range. Little sloppy with the ball handling, still 2 turnovers from DJ, but when we needed him the most, Andrew, he kind of came up and he made some big shots. Also a great pass to Benny Williams as well down the stretch there. What'd you make of DJ's performance tonight?
I mean, there's a reason why he's a starting point guard and veteran of this basketball team. He knows Johnny Dawkins' system of basketball at every level, offense, defensive, passing-wise. Still needs to work on his turnovers. That's always been an issue throughout his career. But he seemed a little bit more on top of the ball. He seemed poised. When the team needed a guy to step up, it was him. Whether it was passing it to Benny Williams, whether it was getting the kickouts, whether it was playing intense defense. Like you mentioned, team leading scorer. I believe he led the team in three-pointers tonight. Just overall great performance by Darius, and this win wasn't possible without him.
And we're starting to get to know some of these new guys, Andrew. A guy who really popped for me was J.J. Taylor. Came in early in the first half. Really was the guy, the only guy scoring for UCF early on. Got him some first easy buckets. Down the stretch, makes a big putback dunk, goes to the line, gets a free throw, a big block down the end of the court. What'd you see from J.J. Taylor, a young guy that on the broadcast they mentioned he's only played 6 minutes of college basketball for tonight. What'd you make of J.J. Taylor's performance in his debut for UCF?
I mean, he's a big-time athletic guy. This is why he was brought in. He was brought in along with Mikey Williams from that Memphis team, and he did exactly what his job was. Get in, play physical, play hard. He's not the best shooter, not the best scorer, not the best attacker, but he plays hard. He plays with aggressive effort every play. So it was just great to see him play. Like you mentioned, the putback dunk, the crowd went crazy. Then he had a big defensive stop right after that. So he just made some really key impact plays. And expected to get more time because he's a guy who's going to come in and give his effort.
Jordan Ivy Curry. What did you make of his game? He's got a little outside shot, really quick. You can tell he's definitely got a high motor on him. Only 4-12 from the field tonight shooting though. What did you make when you saw of Jordan Ivy Curry?
Yeah, Jordan had a really terrific start to the game. Slowed down a little bit towards the end of the second half, but more in all, just kept the aggressiveness. He kept
Terry
playing.
Mahajer, how are you?
How's it going? Doing good, doing good.
Thanks for coming tonight, man.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I look at this Suns today. You never know what you're going to get when Andrew Cherico is live on the stage. Yeah, you never know what you're going to get. But again, Jordan Ivy Curry kind of came in. He was the second leading scorer as well. He provided some offensive punch at times for the Knights.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He was the second leading shooter, I believe, in the team from 3-point range. He was the guy that Johnny Dawkins mentioned. Him and Keyshawn Hall will be two key factors going onto the team this year that nobody really spoke about in the offseason. Everybody was speaking about Dior and Mikey, but Jordan Ivy Curry, also known as Juice, had a big-time performance, and he helped the team out. He was one of the consistent people down the stretch that helped the team get to the victory.
What did you make of the rotations? Obviously, in the first game, it's always tough to know who's going to fit in where. Some guys didn't play a lot of minutes. Darius Johnson only clocked 5 minutes. Not sure if it's still a health issue with Darius Johnson. Nils Mahosky only 5 minutes. Rokas only got 9 minutes. Benny Williams only 15. What'd you kind of make of Johnny's rotations tonight and how he was able to kind of get guys in the game?
It's definitely a work in progress. Johnny's still figuring out who and what deserves to be on the court together at the same time. But he played guys that were going to give all their effort on defense and guys who were going to score the ball at an efficient rate as well as keep the ball in their hands. We saw, like you mentioned, Dior. We saw other people get not as much playing time, but the people who did keep in the game, their intensity, their leadership, and their veteranship allowed them to stay in this game eventually to win it at the end.
Is there anything lingering with Dior's health? Do you know if that played a factor in his minutes tonight?
So we currently have no update on Darius Johnson, although when he was warming up with a back brace on. So that is the latest update. So I'm not 100% sure if it was injury related, limited minutes, or if he just didn't find himself into the rotation tonight.
I'm curious. I know you just left the post-game presser with Coach Dawkins. What are you to say about the true freshman Mustafa Cham? 4 quick fouls in that second half. It seemed like Texas A&M was really targeting him, really trying to get inside. Hit a couple of fouls, Andrew, where he reaches over somebody, right, which is not what you want a 7-footer doing. Just put your hands up, block shots. What did Coach Dawkins say about Cham's performance tonight?
I mean, he was super impressed with Cham. I mean, for a freshman to play the way he did, he was in love with his offense, his defense. He talked about the 6 blocks, which is super impressive for a freshman. And he talked about his aggressiveness. I mean, he needs to calm down a little bit because we don't want him fouling out of late game situations. But he helped this team and kept them in the game for a great amount of time. For being the freshman that he is, he had poise, and Dawkins spoke about that. And he said he definitely wants to get the ball to him more on the offensive side, less threes, more inside the paint. But Cham, super impressive. He's going to be the star big man of the team going forward. This team doesn't have that much depth at the 5. They have Benny Williams, J.J. Taylor, Keyshawn Hall that can play the 4. At the 5, it's Mustafa Jokic, but he doesn't get that much minutes. Cham is the guy.
Also, an observation I have is Deebo Coleman plays like a guy whose name is Deebo. He 26 minutes, 0 for 8 from the field, 0 points, a couple of rebounds, but he got a lot of playing time. As he's a veteran guy. Andrew, is Dawkins kind of talking about leaning on some of these veteran players early on in the season just to sort of bring this team together?
Yeah, it was a good consensus that Deebo was one of the better shooters on the team going into the season, and that was one of the needs of this team, especially in the Big 12 Conference. As you saw, most of his shots came from the 3-point line. I believe it was 0 for 5. He had good looks. Some of them were deep, some of them were slightly contested, but those are shots that he usually makes. I expect Deebo to keep getting playing time. He's strong, aggressive. He's one of the veteran anchors on this team.
Tell us about the atmosphere. Announced crowd of 80, I think it was 800 people there. In addition to Financial Arena, we saw the Franz on full display. We saw lights up, lights down. Tell me about the atmosphere in the crowd on opening night.
As a journalist, you're not supposed to be a fan, but I'll tell you, me and Trace were going a little bit crazy.
Okay. All right. I won't tell anybody. Did Trace storm the court? Can you confirm that? I saw him running on the court with the video.
Trace was in the middle of it all. I think he was jumping up and down with John.
Of course he is.
That's the latest I know. Okay. But no, in reality, the environment was fantastic. This is exactly what you wanted for this team. I mean, like I mentioned before, this is a basketball school. You know, the odds coming into this game, going against number 13 ranked Texas A&M, this is still a UCF men's basketball team that's overlooked in the bigger picture of college basketball. to go out there. This is a statement game. Johnny Dawkins said he wanted to test the team first game out the gate, going against a highly ranked opponent, and he did just that. He mentioned that a lot of the adversity that they encountered throughout the game, he mentioned in practice, and he said, just wait till we play. It's going to happen. You're going to see it. And it all ended up happening. So this team beating high caliber Aggies team, they have so much in store for them, especially missing key players down the stretch.
Yeah, social media was ablaze tonight with people talking about the upset win, the court storming. So on night one of college hoops, UCF certainly has dominated some of the national conversation. Andrew, I'll get you out here with this one. We saw Jalen Sellers did not play. Any update on Jalen? He was at the game. We saw some videos on social media. Any updates on the broadcast? Mike O'Donnell said that he is, quote, day to day, according to UCF. Any update that you've heard on Jalen Sellers?
Yeah, so being able to speak with Johnny Dawkins in the post-game presser, Trace was asking about it. From as far as we know, he is just sore. That was the answer given by Johnny Dawkins. He is sore. We all know it's the back. We all saw the back issue, so it's the back. But he's sore as of right now, and it truly thinks it is a day-to-day issue. As well as Mikey. He thinks Mikey, Johnny Dawkins mentioned on Mikey's boot, it's not a boot as if he broke a leg or broke something. It's just sore. That's not quoted by Johnny, but he says Mikey can play any day, given the status of his health. So it's not.
Obviously, this is your second season covering UCF basketball for us, Andrew. Is this the most exciting game you've been to so far?
Oh, it's definitely up there with Kansas. Those two were special. This and Kansas were special. Somehow in 2 seasons we've stormed the court twice, and I said we because it's still my alma mater. But
there we go.
separation. But it's been a really fun team to cover. And you know what they say? Shout out to JP. Basketball is a vibe sport. Team's going to win, team's going to lose, team's going to draw. You're going to have fun with basketball. It's one of those teams, especially with all the hype this season, with all the high-profile players on this roster. I mean, it's hard not to have some excitement about this roster.
I thought I saw some dignitaries in the house. I thought I saw Ethan Barr there. I think Antonio Brown was there. Any other celebrity sightings? Any of the football team out there watching the game?
Yeah, as far as I know, a couple of the guys from the football team showed up. A couple just other sports. You got some volleyball, I believe. And then you had, of course, Antonio Brown. He wasn't as, I could say, chaotic this game, jumping into the crowd and stuff. He was more mellow. But it's always good to see high-profile celebrities showing up to these games. You love to see other athletic departments, other athletic teams from the school show up and support, especially for a big game like this first of the season.
Absolutely. Well, UCF's back at it on Friday night against Purdue Fort Wayne, not that Purdue, another Purdue, in addition to financial 7 p.m. tip on Friday. So I'm sure everybody can check that out. But Andrew, I'm going to get you out of here, let you get back to closing the shop down there. For a great job again tonight, as always. And appreciate you hopping in here really quick for us on Suns today.
Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it.